Hey, did anything like really exciting happen while you were at South by? No protests or anything?
No, I didn't see anything like that. I mean, Obama was there, but yeah,
I was thinking there'd be like a lot of people with open carry and telling "Oh bummer" not to take their guns away.
they they said they were going to, but I didn't see anything like that. So I don't know. Hello, Whovians, and welcome to our 50th episode of the Who Virgin podcast. That's
Woohoo!
right, it's number 50. It has been a year. A year ago was the first time Mark and I sat down and talked about time travel, how I don't know a whole lot about Doctor Who, and uh, the death of Leonard Nimoy, and a bunch of other stuff. So crazy that we've we've done this for a year. With that, with it being a new year, I'm trying to reshape the podcast, reformat it a little bit, hence a new intro. And I want to start off with introducing us. So I'm Andy Wilson. A year ago, I'd never seen Doctor Who and decided to start a podcast about watching it for the first time. Now I've seen all of the new Who. I'm still super interested in it, love it. We're going to try and eventually go back to the old Who and see where that goes. But to guide me on this, I try and gather a couple of companions around me, bring them into the TARDIS, and guide me to where I need to go. Uh, Welcome, as always, Mark.
Hello. You know,
Uh,
this is like reverse Doctor Who, where the companions know more than the Doctor.
or, or do the companions always know more than the Doctor?
Well, that's true. Yeah. Uh,
Because they bring that specific element of like he doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't know how to be human, for lack of a better term. I don't know, but he needs that moral compass, or else he becomes the War Doctor.
yeah.
So, speaking of our moral compass, Melissa,
Hello.
thank you for being here. Uh, let's get down to it. We've actually had a little bit of crazy South by Southwest news. Wait, hang on. Okay, I need to silence my phone. That is unacceptable, you guys. I'm sorry. And with that, we've actually had a little bit of Doctor Who news this week. Who knew? It seemed like kind of a quiet week, not a ton going on. But Peter Capaldi came out and told us the BBC had approached him and said, "We want you to stay on for another year after Moffat goes, to stay on for another year with Chibnall." He's like, "Well, I don't know. I'm not sure that I want to do that, but maybe I will. I might be open to it." I think that's at least interesting and worth talking about. What do you both think?
I love Peter Capaldi, but I think if they're gonna go new showrunner, they really should go new Doctor. Much like what Moffat did when he took over and brought on Matt Smith. So I think there's no way to go but that option. I don't know if we're gonna have the same flavor with Chibnall in terms of what kind of adventures he can get Peter Capaldi in. So I don't know how I feel about having him on with another showrunner. But we've said this before. I mean, this is the perfect opportunity to have the first female Doctor. So I think they should really take that chance and go with it.
Hmm.
What do you think, Mel?
Well, we talked about how the new showrunner, his the females in his latest series, or show, I should say, Broadchurch. They're not very good. In fact, they're kind of terrible. And the thought of having a female doctor with him on board, if they're going to be anything like those women, is kind of scary to me. That's the type of thing that might make me be like, okay, I'm just gonna stop watching this show. Like that's exactly the type of thing that could end up being. and I'm someone who's advocated for a female doctor for quite a while. At this point, I might be satisfied with just giving us a dude who's not white. You know what I mean? Like progress, even if we have to do baby steps. Um, but really, it's not even about gender or color for me. It's just about him, nailing the landing because I just, it's hard for me to picture him writing for the Doctor. Do you understand? As for Capaldi, I think I kind of agree with you, Mark, about how he should just, go ahead and try a whole new Doctor because this particular Band-Aid, I think it's gonna hurt a lot when it rips because
Yeah.
I don't know that I have confidence in Chibnall yet. So if you're gonna rip off the Band-Aid, you might as well just start fresh. Do you understand? Like, I mean, it's already gonna hurt. Also, we already had one subpar year with Capaldi, his first one, The
Exactly.
thought of having another one, like bookending his tenure with bad seasons, potentially. I mean, I know we shouldn't say that that's going to happen when the new showrunner takes over. We should give him the benefit of the doubt, I know. But there's a chance, a good one based on his past work, that it could be a bad season or at least a mediocre one. And bookending Capaldi's tenure with bad or semi-bad seasons is just, I can't fathom that. It's gotten so good. Why would you do that?
Right. Yeah. Capaldi doesn't deserve to go out that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great.
Exactly. You both said everything that I was thinking. I have nothing else to contribute.
All right. We're all of
No.
one mind. We have a hive mind.
Oh, hive mind.
Well,
Who's it? Who's Q?
speaking of people who another white guy taking over the role, um, we had we had British character actor Brian Blessed
Ah.
came out this week saying, "Oh yeah, I'd love to be the Doctor." Now, okay, time out 1 second really quickly. Whenever there's an announcement like this and someone says, "Oh yeah, I'd love to be in Avengers Infinity War," that doesn't mean that they're going to be in it. That doesn't
Right.
mean, "Oh, they're cast in it." This is an actor doing an interview saying, "Yes, I'd be interested in it," which I think is always worthwhile of a conversation of like, what could that look like? And Brian Blessed, while uh, another white English actor, would be a very different kind of Doctor.
Yes. Yes, he would.
So, I think it's worth talking about him just because he's so I don't know, like I think of him as being very iconic, but he's also kind of obscure. It's not someone who everyone immediately is like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy."
Yeah.
Mark, you
I
brought this to my attention though.
I so want this to happen. Brian Blessed as a doctor would be so awesome. And I told you this when I posted it on your wall that every time he puts the TARDIS in gear, I want to hear him say "dive" like in the Flash. Yeah. Yeah, Flash Gordon. I so want that to happen. If that happens, I will die a happy man.
I don't want to bring anything back from Flash Gordon. That was like except for that Queen soundtrack. That was okay.
You know, as bad as that movie is, and has always been bad, every time it's on TV, like I get sucked right into it. Like I have to watch it.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's a horrible movie, but I have to watch it every time. And Brian Blessed with his stupid mechanical wings, it's freaking awesome, man. And I'd love to hear him say "dive" as the TARDIS goes. Yeah, that'd be so cool. Or have him talk like Boss Nass all the time.
You be having a life play
with this T-Sum. That would be so cool.
Of course, to me, Brian Blessed I'll always remember him most from being in Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing as the uncle Antonio, and placed in this very interesting situation, which I won't explain because I'd have to go far into the plot of Much Ado About Nothing, and it's not worth it. But I love that performance. I love that part. I think it's a very small part that can be done incredibly well, and he did it incredibly well. So that was my first thought, and I'm like, well, here's a guy who really knows how to bring like some meaty character acting to really good material. That's well written. Of course, the question will be, what will what will that season of Doctor Who look like? I guess it couldn't be much worse than the dialogue in uh, episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So um,
Uh,
I'm not dogging
really,
Boss Nass.
really, we're doing this.
Look, I'm just saying, like, from a purely like, how good is that script? It's like, mm, it could be improved, and it's not like Boss Nass's lines were like incredibly compelling. So it's not Shakespeare, Mark. That's what I'm saying.
He made Jar Jar a Bombardier General. Come on, man.
No, that's pretty true.
Yeah, come on.
He's a making you a bomb general.
General. You read the mechanics.
We're just gonna be doing Boss Nass impressions like
Oh, I don't care. I love the movie. Anyway,
and one of the funny things is I always, with the exception of the jowl shaking, I actually really like Boss Nass as a character.
yeah, Boston is awesome.
Maybe we
Being
being
friends. Oh man, Melissa's not entertained.
No,
This is what the podcast turns into when I'm not here. It's like bro talk and
Bro talk. Oh, Boss Nass is a bro. Oh,
so,
kind of is though.
well, yeah, he kind of. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is.
So, do you have any strong feelings one way or the other about Brian Blessed though?
yeah, I feel like it would be almost like stunt casting. I don't really like this idea. Um, I don't know. Not to throw like water on y'all's fire over here, but it's just
Go for it.
I don't know. He's someone, for those who know him, and not everyone does, so maybe people could see him as just the doctor, because I mean, I don't know, like even someone who was well established when they took the role, like Eccleston was, still didn't have like one distinct character or persona that people could really peg him with. But someone like Brian Blessed, just like you guys did now, you have all these things like, oh, I wish he'd do this, I wish he'd do that. No, no, I want the doctor to be the doctor. I don't want you thinking, waiting for him to do some other thing or whatever. I don't know. It feels like it would almost be like stunt casting. I can't picture it. But
I can't disagree with you there. I
yeah.
mean,
Damn you and your logic.
but that is the problem, and I mean that's the problem that you face if you were to ever be like, I'd like to take an established British character actor and bring them to this role. I mean, you think like, oh, well, they'd give it to someone like Robbie Coltrane or
Robbie Coltrane.
someone like
Wait a
that.
minute.
But
Hey,
see,
wait a minute.
what?
Be kind of cool.
But
Yeah,
this
it'd
is
be cool for one episode. Brian Blessed would be cool for one episode, and then the novelty would wear off, I think. You can't do these stunt castings, and you do have to be careful who, if you have someone, and I hate to say this, even like Haley Atwell, would people be like, oh, I wonder if she's gonna say something Agent Cartery or something, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody is already really well established and has like a distinct character or two that you really, if you're looking for them to be someone else, then you're being taken out of the doctor. Do you understand?
totally.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I would want, is I feel like, and that's why I chose Robbie Coltrane, because again, he is an established character actor who has been in a couple of high profile, iconic, nerdy roles that people would kind of expect him to bring that to it. It would almost be better for it to be. I mean, I just want an actor. I just want someone who is going to bring something to it, and they don't need to like figure out their character's motivations or how they're going to play everything. They're bringing something new to the role and reinventing the Doctor while still staying true to what is at its core. And I feel like we've gotten that with all of the four Doctors in the modern era. I don't want them to break that streak. And while I think someone like Brian Blessed would be very interesting, it feels like a lateral move from Capaldi.
I agree with what you said, but Capaldi had an identity before Doctor Who. He was Frobisher in Torchwood.
Yeah.
He was, we have the Pompeii episode. He was Malcolm frickin' Tucker in The Loop. If you've seen the show, you know who I'm talking about. He was larger than life, and it worked out well. I'm not comparing Capaldi to Brian Blessed at all, or to Robbie Coltrane. But what I'm saying is that you can forget previous roles if the actor is strong enough to assert himself into the role of the Doctor, or herself.
Oh, and I agree with that. But what you guys were yapping about, what I was paying attention to, was still wanting him to do all these other roles, like integrate
Right,
a
okay.
line or two, and that's so it doesn't matter if he's a strong enough actor to make you see him as the Doctor. If the people are still wanting him to do all these other trademark things, then that's still taking you out of the episode. Do you understand?
Exactly.
So it's not about talent, I think some people are fun to imagine as the Doctor, but the theory will be way better than the practice, and I think Brian Blessed is one of those people. Not saying he wouldn't be deserving, I'm just saying I think the novelty of it might wear off quick. And then you've got a situation where, like, well, was this really the best decision? Maybe not.
Yeah, no, I'm actually completely with you, and just because I have a fun time nerding out about Brian Blessed, I mean, I didn't immediately think, oh yeah, he'd be perfect for the Doctor. He could do it. He'd be good at it, but there, like you said, there'd be expectations, and I think that's probably unfair to bring to that.
I just thought it would be fun. It'd be fun to hear him say, "We must go through the planetary core."
Yeah, but do you want a whole season of
No.
that?
Because
Remember, a season is 12 episodes.
There's certain things that are like little winks and Easter eggs to the audience, and then there is straight out fan service, which doesn't have anything to do with the movie or the show, and is just about like, you see what we did there? I mean, 2 examples, really quick, just from this last week. So I saw Keanu last night at South by Southwest, the new Key and Peele movie where they're trying to rescue their cute little kitty cat. There's a point in the movie they go out to a movie and they're talking on the way back about how good that Liam Neeson's movie was. Which, if you watch and you've seen the valets who love Liam Neeson's, then that's funny. But if you don't know that joke, it sails by so quickly and it doesn't matter.
Right.
2, the Captain America Civil War trailer that came out this week. When Cap is standing up and he's bloodied and he says, "I could do this all day."
Right.
If
Love it.
you don't remember that line from the first movie and what the circumstances were of that line, it doesn't matter because you're still enjoying that trailer. That's the difference between a wink and an Easter egg and fan service. Marvel and Key and Peele did it right. I think bringing in Brian Blessed to say dive or going through the planet core is fan service. It would be funny, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be as great and iconic as we want it to be. So
Also,
that's the
he doesn't have to be the doctor to say those things. He could just guest star.
Yeah, I was about to say he would be a great Christmas special focus.
yep.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would be kind of cool.
Totally would. So, speaking of people bringing things to their later roles, let's do our third in this series of going back fourth. Now
Going forward, right?
we're doing the fourth in this series, inspired by Melissa watching The Decoy Bride and thinking about what things the actors who have played the Doctors have done after they've done playing the Doctor. This week we've got Matt Smith, who, wow,
Nothing. He's done 2 movies.
and not a lot that's
Not a lot. Yeah.
not a lot that's very good either. So I feel very bad because I feel like we're gonna pick on Matt Smith, and I don't want to. Like, I feel like we were very even and balanced towards
Pretty boy Tennant.
Yeah,
Only been 2 years, so
Yeah.
and
That's
he's
true.
got stuff that hasn't come out yet. So let's not be too hasty.
I will say this. I know we're supposed to be looking forward, but he was on a show before Doctor Who called Party Animals that you really should see because it's about the underbelly of UK politics, and the whole term party animals is like, sticking only to your party and all the dealings that go on in the background. Sort of like a House of Cards without all the, rape and murder and stuff. But it's still very interesting, and it's character driven. And Matt Smith is very, very, very good at this. There's a couple of actors you'll recognize as well when you watch it, especially Melissa. Well, we've all seen Broadchurch, so there are a couple of actors that you would recognize if you watch the show. But I highly recommend it. And I'm only doing this because we don't have much to talk about in terms of what he's done since he left Doctor Who. So that's one show I would highly recommend for everybody to watch.
I will have to do that. As much as I love British politics, I will go back and watch that. So, okay, has anyone actually seen Lost River?
Oh,
I heard this was such a stinking pile that I was just like, no, I'm not gonna watch it specifically because I didn't want it to ruin my impression of Matt Smith. Because while he was filming this, he was still in his last days of playing the Doctor. Like, I think they were gonna film the 50th anniversary thing still, and he had to like wear a wig or something, during the Christmas special because he shaved his head for this movie.
Yeah.
And so to me, and that he's my Doctor, right? Even though Capaldi is really great, he's still my Doctor, and so I can't have something like ruining him while he's still the Doctor, So I just decided I'm not going to watch this because it sounds terrible. People tell me it's terrible, and sometimes a million people can't be wrong, and then I think this is probably one of those cases.
Yeah, I have not seen it for all of the exact same reasons. I don't want to like seek out a bad movie except for The Decoy Bride. Because I don't want that to ruin anything. But something that I feel did ruin it a little bit, and something that we actually talked about pretty extensively on the podcast in July was Terminator Genesis.
Ah, yes.
So
Matthew Smith. Yeah.
Matthew Smith, with those weird SAG rules or whatever, where he had to be Matthew Smith. This was just, I mean, when it comes right down to it, it was the script's fault the director's fault. They had a real opportunity to do something with this character, and putting Matt Smith in this role. I don't wonder how things were changed, where they just were like, oh well, we're going to cut this down because it's too confusing. Because Terminator Genesis was really kind of confusing.
Yeah,
So, and
they already canceled the sequel.
yeah,
Right. They
They're
said
already,
that it's done. No
yeah,
more.
yeah. Well, and the idea is he was going to continue on as like the avatar of Skynet in the next movie, and he was going to be the main villain. And
yeah.
so,
I
I
would
mean,
have liked to have seen that happen, but they killed it. They-
I would have liked to have seen it sans Jai Courtney.
I
Any
no,
movie
no,
sans Jai Courtney.
we agreed that he was not the worst part of this movie. He was
No,
just
he wasn't.
Jason Clarke was surprisingly
Oh,
the worst part of
That
this movie
bad?
was
Jesus.
yeah. It was very stilted. I mean, it wasn't like Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Freeze bad, but it was still pretty bad. And I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I mean, and you can't even just blame Jason Clarke, although that was very jarring and it constantly took me out of the movie. There were a lot of things wrong with it. None of them are Matthew Smith's faults. I mean, he did what he could with a very limited role. I mean, they didn't give him much to do. That it was surprising that they would cast someone who is, I mean, basically, once you're the Doctor, you're a geek icon for life, I think. And
yeah.
to cast someone like that for what was basically like, parking attendant number 2 or something, you know what I mean? It was just like, why would you do that? That he had nothing to do. And I guess maybe they did it because they knew there was like a bigger story to tell in subsequent films, but they're not getting those subsequent films, and so it all just felt like a big waste.
Well, because they told this one so poorly, where it just the time travel consequences started making my head hurt so much, and it was one of those movies where if you didn't turn off your brain, it was like going to give you a seizure, because it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, that being said, like, a lot of the stuff was really cool. It was cool to see uh, Daenerys Targaryen, what's Amelia Clark, that's her name, like, take on that role as Sarah Connor, and the play between her and Arnold, like, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was.
And kind of the basic idea of the movie was fun, but and flipping the role where now she's the one who's like, come with me if you want to live. I
Mhm.
liked that a lot.
Yeah.
The whole, like, Jason Clarke as John Connor is both an agent of Skynet and the person who's going to stop Skynet. It's like, y'all really needed to, like, tighten this up, because it didn't make one lick of sense. And yeah. Yeah, poor Matt Smith. Like, he really got the shaft on that for things that were not his doing. And he wasn't bad in the movie, but he also wasn't like, oh my gosh, he was so great, because they just didn't give him much to do. He got like 2 lines of actual on-screen dialogue in the beginning, and then he was like a CG hologram character for the rest of it.
Well, that
That's
sucks.
just like, what do you do? I mean, there are limits to people's acting skills, and you can't break out of that.
I still can't bring myself to watch it. I just can't.
I have no interest in watching it again. Like, I think I will sooner go back and watch Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines than I will Terminator Genesis. Only because it's been so long since I've actually seen that. Like, I wonder if it's gotten any better with age. I'm sure the answer is no. But
I like it. Terminator 3. I don't love it, but I liked it well enough. But
Jenna,
no, not Gen. Which one was
no,
it? The Rise of the Machines.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked it well enough. I mean, I don't think it was horrible, but it was all right.
I mean, the problem with all of the Terminator sequels since 2 is how wildly uneven they are. The Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show, great.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and, I wish they'd taken kind of a more straightforward approach like that, where they try and flip some of the conventions on their head. Again, like I said, like making Sarah Connor the hero instead of the damsel. I like that. I think
Here's the
that
thing about the Terminator franchise. One, some things just need to die. Like some things just you got to stop messing with them. Like the Highlander. If they make another Highlander movie, I swear to God, I'm gonna blow up Hollywood. Just it needs to stop already. But with Terminator, there's a finite number of movies you can make, and when you try to interject and change the story more and more, it gets ridiculous. It really does. So after Rise of the Machines, they had nowhere to go at all, and then Salvation was a mess. I don't even want to begin to watch Genesis because if Salvation was bad, nothing after that was going to fix it. Nothing. Everything was always going to be confusing. So I have no idea why they keep going to the well on this one.
because the Terminator is like an iconic thing, an iconic scary monster, and uh, because Arnold, even in his 50s, is imposing and iconic. And if you can get Arnold to come back and be the Terminator again, you're gonna make $100 million at least off of that. So
I
um,
get that, but you cheapen everything else.
yeah,
And everything that came before it, the greatness that came before it, you cheapen it. Like you've destroyed that.
you think people in Hollywood care
They
about
don't.
their no?
They
It's
don't. Yeah.
money, 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 and that's why they keep rebooting stuff. That's why they keep remaking stuff. And like I said last week, it's like some of those remakes end up becoming really good. Some of them horrible pieces of dog turd. And but it's frustrating that this couldn't have been this couldn't have been better. Uh,
I don't think it stood the chance ever. None of it made any kind of sense to me.
yeah. Let's talk about something else that kind of didn't make a lot of sense. We talked about this not that long ago because it only came out like a couple of months ago. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Melissa, I think you're still the only person who ended up seeing it.
Yeah, my opinion has not changed. I thought it was really fun. And I think the best part of the movie, and certainly I think the audience at the screening agreed with me, was Matt Smith. And it's sad that, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies has to be the thing that salvages his post-2 career, but in terms of quality at least, but that's what's kind of happened because unfortunately he hasn't made the best choices. I mean, he's still really great in everything he does, and none of the failures, like I said before, have been his fault. But you know, that's just sort of how it's turned out for him. But this was really, it was a lot of fun. It didn't take itself too seriously, especially when he was on screen. He played Mr. Collins, which anybody who's read the original Pride and Prejudice
Mhm.
knows is just wow. How do I put this nicely?
A
Let's just say
prick.
he
That's what he is.
yeah. And he's no different here really. He's just but they play it for laughs instead of drama. Well, I mean it's played for laughs in the original novel, but not as much. You have to see the movie to understand what I'm saying. Like they go way further with the whole laugh thing. It's definitely the comic relief that the film needs. Yeah, I mean, people were laughing a lot when he was on screen. He was really, really good. I mean, he just totally threw himself into this buffoonish role. And you know, we've always seen elements of his comic skills as the Doctor, you know, but never like this. So I was happy he got to do something that was, you know, mildly well reviewed or something. I mean, like it's just not, people aren't like poo-pooing the whole thing like they did with his first two post two roles.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen other versions of Pride and Prejudice where Collins is played for a lot of comedy. For instance, okay, this is super Lake Silencio content right here. But there was a Utah made version of Pride and Prejudice that was set uh, like at BYU, and it was very explicitly like there was this whole like Mormon cinema thing that was happening in like the early 2000s. Anyway, a friend of mine from high school ended up in the movie as Bingley, and one of my one of my wife's friends was playing Collins, and he was, I mean, just absolutely hilarious in this movie. Both of them are actually really good. The movie overall is kind of terrible. But for those of you listening in Utah who remember that Utah-based Pride and Prejudice, yeah, good times.
Pride and Prejudice and Mormons, is that
Yeah,
what it was
Pride and
called?
Prejudice and Mormon. And I mean, and the whole thing is like, well, she's super religious, and Mr. Darcy isn't, which is like a very Mormon type of thing to like make a movie about because you're only supposed to marry other Mormons. So, you know, why that is, you know, it really fits into the world of Pride and Prejudice, and because like every Mormon girl has read Pride and Prejudice, owns the Colin Firth BBC set, watches it religiously,
Still
etc.
the best one in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. My
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah, it's awesome. Come on, it's great. It's really good. Yeah. Um, so since we haven't had a lot of, I mean, that's it for Matt Smith. What would we want to see if we
Okay.
could, like greencast Matt Smith as something? Where would you put him?
I would put him in a Flash movie as Professor Zoom.
That is exactly where I was going. Is
Ah, nice.
I wasn't going to say Professor Zoom, but I said make him the villain in a Flash movie. And I don't care if that's Captain Cold. I don't care if that's Zoom. I don't care if it's uh, Font. Just a Flash villain. That's what I wanted.
I think Zoom would be perfect for him because he's got that type of air to him. I think Captain Cold would be a little one note. Zoom has an entire backstory. He's got this absolute hatred towards the Flash. So this is something that could really work for him.
Well, and so does Reverse Flash, which is
Right.
why, I mean they're both kind of very similar. It's ideas of other speedsters who are taking on the Flash. So
Right.
yeah, it's fun, but it's funny that we both immediately went to DC of where we would put him because I was trying to think like Marvel Universe, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know where I'd want to put him. Um, I mean, he could have been a great Aldrich Killian in the third Iron Man movie, um, but something else like that. And it's funny that we're both thinking like villain roles for him.
Yeah, because I think something like that would help him break out from the whole Doctor Who persona.
Yeah, but still like super serve a portion of his
Right.
audience that like wants to see him um, on there. They could make him into Uatu the Watcher. Give him like a big giant head prosthesis, and already kind of got that going on. But anyway, Melissa, do you have like a dream casting thing for Matt?
No, I really don't. I just want to see him being something successful. You know, like really, um, it doesn't even have to be mainstream necessarily. Just something that isn't, you know, that it isn't like front loaded with a bunch of possible little bombs like the Terminator movie was. You know, just something that he can be like really proud of, that people aren't going to be like rolling their eyes right away, like
Hmm.
Lost River or something, you know what I mean? Something people want to see. I would just like to see him be successful.
I would,
Because right now I feel like it's sort of still up in the air.
yeah, I would really love to see him be the lead in a sort of indie romantic comedy. Um, I don't know, maybe from like a female writer and director. Um, I don't know, put him alongside like I don't know, like a Jennifer Lawrence or something like that. Like I'm just really just spitballing ideas. Like if I could be like, I want to make a movie happen. I want to hire this person uh, to make it happen. I'm going to build it around Matt Smith. Like that's a movie I could see myself going to see.
And it doesn't even have to be a movie. Like if he could get like a kind of buzzy prestige type cable show, you know, 10, 12, 13 episodes a season or something, that but you know, so that he could build a character and really sink his teeth into it, you know, because the problem with movies is that, you know, you've got like 90 minutes to 2 hours to establish a character and an entire premise from soup to nuts, and that's not easy to do, you know, to do well, I should
Mhm.
say. So I wouldn't mind seeing him on my TV screen again either, just as long as it's something that's worthy of him, I think.
What kind of show would you want? Would it should it be a
You know,
comedy?
I'm intrigued with him playing the villain. I think he'd be really good at it. I mean, we saw like a tiny glimpse of that, technically in Terminator, you know. Um, but yeah, I think he could be really good. Um, but something really like layered. Do you understand? I don't want him to be some mustache twirling villain, you know, with a
Totally.
nefarious plot or something, you know. It has to be something that shows his acting chops off.
You know, now that you said mustache twirling, I'm imagining like a really silly, kind of over the top, ridiculous show like Ash versus the Evil Dead, where it knows it's kind of cheesy and
Hmm.
it's playing with that. He could do that well because he's funny.
Yeah,
Um,
but maybe for
uh,
1 or 2 episodes. You wouldn't want him like a whole season doing that, I think.
no,
But
definitely.
yeah, come in and like have maximum impact for 1 or 2 episodes and then leave. That would be good.
Yeah, like a show like a that has some comedic elements, like an Ash versus Evil Dead or a Buffy or you know something like that. So yeah, that would be super interesting. I just I want to see Matt Smith doing other cool stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, if we could bring him into the Marvel world, maybe a role like Mephisto would be kind of cool.
hmm
I think he could pull that off. Uh, but I agree with Melissa. I want him to have a meaty role that will show itself in the long run, much like David Tennant did in Jessica Jones, where we saw glimpses of him and then we got him complete, and he was a large focus of the show. I want something like that for Matt Smith.
one of my Big Shiny Robot co-writers, Kelly, would love to see Matt Smith as Mr. Sinister in the X-Men
Oh,
movies.
yeah, yeah, he could pull it off.
He could pull it off, even though I think Mr. Sinister is stupid. But I'm sorry, Kelly.
I can see him pull it off.
But he would do it well, and maybe he could make the character less dumb. So I don't know. It's like anybody who's that obsessed with like getting a hold of Cyclops's DNA. I'm like, dude, what kind of freaky stuff are you into that you care so much about his DNA?
But you know what? Or based on his body structure, he could so pull off being Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow.
Oh my gosh.
He really could pull that off.
If they well, because they're going to have to reboot the Batman universe at some point.
Right. Yeah.
And whether that's going to be more Ben Affleck or something else. Oh my gosh, he would be great as the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought what's his name? Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty damn good.
He was good, but I mean, he was very much the scientist, not the not the crazy supervillain.
Right.
It was the origin story. So
Right.
yeah, I would have loved to have seen the out and out Scarecrow. That would have been interesting. But hey, speaking of Matt Smith, I know we've talked about this before, but Mark, how excited are you that you're gonna do photos with Matt Smith and Alex Kingston in a couple weeks?
In less than 2 weeks, I will be in Salt Lake City, and I am gonna die. That's what's gonna happen. I am gonna get arrested for trying to take a lock of hair from Matt Smith or Alex Kingston or both.
Oh,
I'm gonna get into a lot of trouble, but I can't wait, man. I really can't wait. This is gonna be a highlight in my life. It's so awesome.
I'm so excited for FanX. Like it, I am like a spoiled child right now. Like doing South by Southwest now, and then a week later, I'm doing Salt Lake Comic Con. Um, I I get to be on a bunch of really cool panels at Comic Con. I'm gonna run them through really quickly, so people can come and see me. Thursday at 6 p.m. I am going to be on Captain America the panel with two of just my absolute like these are I can't believe I'm on a panel with these people. One of them is Kerry Jackson from Radio from Hell and the Geek Show podcast, who is like my geek godfather. And I partially named my son Jackson after Kerry, um, because my wife would have never let me name our child Kirk after Captain Kirk. So I named him Jackson after partially after Kerry Jackson, and also partially after the vegetable farmer Jackson on the Gilmore Girls. So anyway, but also on that panel is Fabian Nicieza. How do I say his name, Mark? Do you know? I better learn how to say his name before I.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't know.
Good luck.
The guy who co-invented Deadpool with Rob Liefeld. Um, that's super amazing. And like, I had actually been thinking to myself, oh, should I bring my my Deadpool and Cable omnibus for him to sign and like wait in an autograph line and pay him money to sign it. Now the answer is obviously yes. I've got to do it. I'm gonna be on a panel with the guy. Like I'm gonna like have him like sign my book, and I'll pay him for it. I'll stand in line for it. I'm not gonna do it like at the thing because that's like kind of gauche. But also on the panel, the lovely and talented Rebecca Frost, who's been on the podcast. Super excited about that. And Tom Winkley, who's one of my Big Shiny Robot co-writers, and who has been the guy who, from the tech side, helped me put this podcast together and hosted it and brought me through how to build up a podcasting site. You should listen to him on the Big Shiny podcast, on his other podcast, Coffee Alt Delete. He's great. If you don't do anything else at FanX, come and check out this panel. It's going to be great. It's Captain America, and I love Captain America, and we're going to have so much to talk about. So, so Thursday, 6 p.m. Be there. Friday at 10 a.m. I'm doing a panel on Rocky, the Cold War, and Creed, which I'm super excited about. If you listen to the other podcast that I do, Bored as Hell with with Adam. One of our often co-hosts is Brooke Heim, and she's also going to be on this panel. And we're just going to be talking about how, like, Rocky and Creed and Rocky IV are like artifacts of the Cold War and the cultural implications of all of that, and talking about race and things like that. Should be a lot of fun. At 6 p.m., Rick and Morty traveling through social issues. On this panel, Geekhead Aaron Burton, and his amazing, beautiful wife, Katie Burton, who you can listen to on the Geek Therapist podcast, and Charity from the Hello Sweetie podcast. I'm super excited about this one because it's Rick and Morty, and that show is ridiculous, and there's like so much to talk about in terms of what that brings up. And then right after that, so Rick and Morty's at 6. At 7, we've got Getting Ready for Captain America Civil War. And that'll be me, again with Rebecca Frost, and Rich Bonaducci, who is a local film critic in Salt Lake, and some other people who I don't know as well. But given what we've just seen in this trailer, I think we're all getting ready for Captain America Civil War. So you want to be there for that. Saturday at 4 p.m., Where Are Ray and Black Widow? The Plight of Female Action Figures and Merchandise. And we're going to be talking about how you can't find action figures of the girls. Again with Rebecca Frost, again with Brooke Heim, and a couple of other people. Am I the only dude on this panel? No, no, I think there's 3 dudes on this panel and only 2 girls. Holy cow, that's odd. But that's good.
You're exemplifying why it's a problem.
Well, even the guys think it's a problem that we can't get these figures. What's wrong? So that should be interesting. So I've got those 5. Might get added to a couple more if you're trying to track me down at FanX. Then just download the app and look for me. But I'll be around, and super, super excited for that. All right, I didn't have a ton more to talk about than that. But it being our anniversary, I want to throw open questions to both of you.
Cool.
Like, do you guys have anything you want to ask, or like, I usually like I'm the one kind of driving the podcast, and I want to like turn over the reins for a couple seconds. You both.
I'll let Melissa start. Ladies first.
Wait, you want me to? You want to know if I have a question asked, like if I were there
Like about the podcast, about
the
like
podcast?
me, about like what we've been doing, why we waste our time doing this every week.
There are millions of adoring listeners, of course. No, I don't know. I guess I was surprised that I'm sort of almost a part of the furniture here. In a way, I
You're more than furniture.
yeah, because when Marco asked me to do this, I thought it would be like a one-off type of thing, and then you just kept like asking me back, and every week I was, like when you send the message out on Sunday, like, okay, these are the topics or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, I'm being asked back again. Oh, okay, I'm being asked back again, and now it's just sort of like expected. You know what I mean? Like, because for several weeks after, I was like, oh, they want me back again. You know what I mean? Like, I still felt like a guest, I guess.
I always kind of envisioned this as being like kind of a rotating group of. Hang on. I had always kind of envisioned this as kind of a rotating group of panelists, and I figured early on I'd probably find one person who would be kind of the center person who was guiding me on this journey, and then I'd want to open it up to, you know, all the people from Big Shiny Robot, all of my other friends, and try and bring on diverse voices and guests to talk about like their favorite episodes as I was going through them, bring things from different points of view, and you were just so consistently good, and I felt like I didn't have any other choice because you bring such a different energy, and it's it's a totally different dynamic, and it's not just that Mark and I will bro out, like, but I, I don't know, it's just it's not the same, and even if we were to have like other people kind of rotating in and out, I think it really wouldn't be the same, and I'm so I mean after several months, it just really felt like this is what this podcast is yeah, it's me in Austin and you two in San Antonio, and that kind of works, and we have kind of a similar frame of reference, but we also come at it from very different backgrounds, so I kind of like that.
And I do love, speaking of different backgrounds, the diversity of our little show here, because you know you do have a woman, which, let's face it, a lot of geeky podcasts do not. And you know you've got two Mexicans over here, which you know a lot of geeky podcasts do not even have one. So it's really nice to have like a mix of different backgrounds. I mean, you know, you got two native Texans and one native Lake Silencian, or whatever you guys call yourselves over
I'm a
there.
no, I'm a weird California Utah hybrid. So yeah, but yeah, that was kind of the point. And like I had originally asked my buddy Ramy, who lives here in Austin, is a local judge, went to Yale Law, and is like uber nerdy. And like sits on like Obama's like Asian American Pacific Islander engagement committee or whatever to do like outreach to the Asian community, and like I really wanted him to be a part of this, and he's just like, you know, I kind of like Doctor Who, but it's not my major thing, and I'm like, oh, I really, you know, I really wanted to build a diverse group of people, because there are a lot of podcasts I listen to that I love that it's five white guys.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to be a bunch of white guys talking about Doctor Who. That was like the last thing I wanted, and I'm like, there's only going to be one consistent white guy on this program, and it's going to be me. And
I
everyone
want to be the white guy.
yeah, like no, I'm the token white guy, and like everyone else gets to play here, and I really wanted that. So I haven't been able to build that as much as I wanted. Mostly just like people's schedules are hard, and there have been a lot of people who like want to participate, but like due to various technical limitations, they couldn't. Like their internet speed was just not enough to be able to do streaming video, to be able to record and things like that. So it's great, and I'm glad that you're both here.
Cool.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
To both of you, even when we disagree.
Especially when we disagree. Like what's so great though, the three of us can disagree, and we don't hate each other. We've gotten kind of heated
Yeah.
on several times, but at the end of the day, we all kind of hug it out, and we're okay. And no one thinks Mark is a misogynist, although you're kind of a misogynist. No, No one thinks Andy's racist, even though I'm a little bit racist. So, you know, that's just the way it goes. And like from a philosophical standpoint, you don't get the best ideas unless you are challenging yourself and challenging your assumptions. And that's why diversity is a good thing. And I wanted to build that into the DNA of what we were doing, where I didn't want to bring on people who were always going to agree with me, because that would be boring.
And
I
I think our mutual Mexican background has actually played into our perspective a couple of times, as I recall, right, Marco?
yes.
And I know being a woman has definitely played into my perspective many, many times, like almost weekly, it seems, when I'm giving my opinions. And so it's good to have that, and hopefully all of our adoring listeners, because the thing about bringing a feminist point of view to a show, and this is coming from you guys too, who have these female positive type of opinions, is that a lot of people, when they hear like feminist things, they think, oh, she's a man hater. That's like the automatic go-to thing. And I think here we get to talk about these women's issues, and even when they do get a little heated, nobody thinks anyone here is like a man hater or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I am.
Wait. I like that we can talk about serious issues when they do come up, and like Andy said, we don't hate each other. Although if you guys talk crap about Moffat one more time, I swear to God, I swear, I'm
Yeah,
not,
but see, that's
I'm
the
on the
thing
line, man.
that's so fun. It's not just that he deserves the criticism, it's that you with your Moffat underwear over there get so up in arms about it.
Moffat under
It's
roof.
just awesome to your Moffat footed pajamas.
Oh my God. No, I this is the highlight of my week. I love being able to talk stuff. I love being able to talk Doctor Who to begin with, but we get to throw in all this nerdy stuff. Like at the very beginning of the podcast, Andy and I did everything but Doctor Who. And I think it was just
Yeah,
the
I
initial,
noticed.
yeah, it was just the initial excitement of like having someone to talk to about this, man. Because I don't like if it wasn't for this, it'd be nothing but My Little Pony and Dr. Pole, the veterinarian. I mean, I wouldn't have anything else to talk about. So like this podcast is a lot of fun for me. I love doing it, and I love being able to see Andy get the whole Doctor Who thing. That's pretty cool. We need to work on Classic Who.
Yeah, I know.
No,
But-
it's been fun to see the little Who light bulbs go off on
Yeah,
top.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
throughout the journey here.
And
Yeah.
what was even more fun is when we caught up to Doctor Who and then we started watching it concurrently with everybody else. That was a lot of fun. Continues to be a lot of fun. It's too bad we have to wait till the year 2025 for the next season. But it's fun doing it with everybody else now. So this is a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this. I'm so glad to be a part of this.
When Doctor Who really started speaking my language, it got a lot of fun. And like you mentioned, when we were all caught up and we were talking about it, and Melissa, you brought up your Mexican heritage. Like when we got to the Zygon invasion and the Zygon inversion, it was like this beautiful meld of like we all had so much to say about what was going on, and those were really beautifully, masterfully done episodes. And it was just cool. It was this great convergence, and it couldn't have happened if we hadn't built this together in this way. And it was just great. It was an experience that if I just binge watched Doctor Who and started watching Doctor Who by myself on my own TV with no one else, it never would have happened.
Right.
And this has built up my love and understanding so much more because you both point out things that I've missed, like the name of Lake Silencio.
Which was painfully obvious to everybody else.
But that's why diversity is good. Many eyes and many brains working on the same problem. So thank you. Thanks for making this like the awesomest like geek year of my life. I set out to I said, okay, I'm gonna do a podcast. I have a problem with doing things. I'm very ADD, and having to do a thing every week and doing it consistently is like the hardest thing in my life. And we've done it. Sometimes the episodes come out late, usually not more than a couple of days. Uh, Sometimes they're not the greatest, but they do come out, and we put in the effort, and we do it, and we make it happen. And that's like a minor miracle for me in my life to show that like I can do that. And so this has been very like confidence building, and it means a lot more to me than just like being able to watch Doctor Who with people. So thanks to everyone. This has been like an amazing exercise in like me getting my shit together, for lack of a better term. So thanks for that. On that note, we've gone on way too long. Would that we could go on even longer, but thanks for everyone who listens. Thanks, Mark and Melissa, for being here as every week. But we will see you all next time.
Cool. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And that's over.